Hey folks, it's Dave here from Dirty and Dusty Studio B. And I was going to play some football tonight. I might play some later tonight, but I thought I'd come on and just say hi and give a little update what's going on around here and talk a little bit about football today. I guess we could do that too. Can you believe the Miami Dolphins scored 70 points today? 7-0 against these guys. So I had to wear this hat tonight in honor of that. The 76 Buccaneers did not allow 70 points in a game. Just saying. So how crazy was that? So we want to talk about that, talk a little bit football. We'll talk some gaming here tonight and a few other things. But I still haven't got my floor fixed. I'm still waiting on that. I'm not sure why, but the guy hasn't called me back yet. And so I think tomorrow I got to start making calls to other floor people because I need this done. It's been 3 weeks now. Granted, I spent a good week and a half cleaning it up, but I need it done. I want to have everything back to normal here. I want to be able to play games and do things, and I can't right now because everything is kind of stuffed this way because I need to keep this open so they can lay the floor down. Because when you're doing a floor, everything's got to come up, right? So I still got a couple of tables over there that when they show up, I'm going to have to move. But holy cow, this is just it's just so frustrating. My anxiety's through the roof, and I'm already into busy season, and I'm getting calls to work a lot, and I need this settled, and I want play some games and do the whole bit. There's around the layout says that's his typical score when playing Madden on easy mode. Are you the winners? I hope. Eventually you'll be on the winning side. I get it. David C. stopping by. So yeah, I just like I say, I might jump on and do a pro strategy football game later on tonight. I got to see how it goes. But I was up early this morning again downstairs. I actually took the leaf blower out and I was blowing the dust around here. Everything is covered in dust because I'm trying to get the floor clean as possible on the other side. So I come over here, my mouse, my keyboard, everything is covered in dust over here just from being in the air. So once that side's squared away and put together, I'm going to have to do a massive cleaning on this side, just how it's going to be. But I need to get back to playing my drums. I need to get back to playing games and the whole bit. The Strat cards come in. I got my Strat hockey cards for last season, and I ordered a baseball season too, and I've not been able to do an unboxing because it's just sitting upstairs on the table because I wouldn't be able to really play anything right now, or at least I don't feel like playing anything right now, if you will. I don't know if you've been there. If anybody's moved or done any significant work on the house where everything's disrupted, you want to play because you're sick of the disruption, but at the same time, you're just kind of not in the mood. Like I get up and I've been cleaning down here, moving things around, and I get like things kind of half-assed down here, set up so I can at least work and get some things done. But it's just not the same. It really is. It's just not the same. And Cleveland baseball fan says it's only the fourth time in NHL history that a team scores 70 or more. Everybody want to see Miami kick the field goal to tie the record. No, I don't think you can do that anymore. I think in college you can run it up all day long, but the pros they don't like that. In fact, even getting to 70, that's just rubbing it in the other guy's face, and I think that's a bad idea. I don't like that at all. Steve says. Good seeing you live. Sucks about the contract. Let's hope it works out. I hope it does too, Steve. Thanks for coming by. It's just frustrating because everything's just kind of, you know how it is. Everything's just kind of on hold, waiting to get it done. And then once it's done, you can put everything back and set it all up and try to get back to normal. But it's just been, anytime something like that happens in the house, no matter what it is, and some kind of natural disaster or anything like that, it just disrupts everything. I didn't lose anything per se, so that's a good thing. It's not like I lost anything important, but it's just the idea that I did have to pick up both my laminate floor and my tile. So I picked up 2 floors. So I'm down to the bare cement here, and I need to cover that up because it's echoey down here. It's cold. It's musty. I just need to fix it. This is how it is. But I did today. I did kick back because I did work last night. I don't know if you saw the pictures. I don't know if I could even share them here. Maybe I can. Hang on a sec. Let me see if I can share some of the pictures from last night's when I did the play-by-play. It was where am I here? Let me go to my page and see if I can show you some of the photos here. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, here's this. Let me see if I can share this. All right, share my screen. Let me see if I can share this right here. Okay. So I don't know if you can see that. That's where I had to go work last night. So that's you walk along the home team bench, and there's a little scaffolding set up that was the size of a bathtub, basically. It really was kind of small up there. And I don't even know if that was 2 feet wide. And can you picture me trying to walk up that, and I got my, my bulky coat on because it's a hockey rink, and I got my my little gig bag with me because I had to bring my own headset last night, and I bring water and stuff like that and that. And there I am trying to walk up that thing. So I did get up there, and then while I'm up there, the kid that's coming to do camera work, as he's walking up there, the whole thing is shaking like this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to collapse on me. And he laughs. He goes, yeah. He goes, it's a little rickety. And I was like, yeah, but we did the job. I actually had to stand behind the cameraman. And I just kind of like looked right and looked left from behind him all night to get the job done. But that's what you got to do. You got to do some of that stuff sometimes to get the job done. It's not glamorous. Here's actually a better shot. So that's me up there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a piece of glass or plexiglass. Excuse me. They actually had a piece of plexiglass, and it was like a kind of rounded piece of plexiglass. Okay, so that way there, the cameraman was filming behind the glass, so the puck wouldn't come up and hit you. So that was kind of good. Although, as you saw the stairs, there was a couple times the guy fired the puck right up the boards, and if that ever hit a stick and it went up through the bench, that would have come sailing up and hit me right in the leg because the plexiglass and everything protected so much. But as you saw the stairs, that's if that puck ever went up there, it's going to hit me right in the leg, and it's going to be going 100 miles an hour, and I'm going to be a pretty hurting boy if that was the case. Luckily, that did not happen, so all is good with that. So I worked last night. Today I cleaned up down here. Again, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put Studio A. Part of me is thinking about sliding Studio A down here and abutting that with Studio B. So I'll have a nice big gaming table here that'll flow over to here, if you will. And so I can keep all my gaming stuff here kind of separate from the rest of the basement where we have a couch and a TV or whatever. And then I can kind of get at everything of Studio A and play everything right here. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes when we set it up. That was kind of fun. It was going up there and doing a game like that. And that's the thing now, as I don't really get nervous doing these things anymore. I used to get real nervous about going to a new place. Oh, man, how am I going to do? I'm pretty confident in the job I'm going to do. And the other thing is that sometimes you get there and you see where you're working. It's hard to get nervous like that. I remember the first time I ever went on stage. All right, so I'll play it for you. All right. The first time I ever went on a stage, it was at a high school, and I was probably 19. I was just out of high school, and there was a kid that was graduating, and he had us play at the high school. And I think we had played at my high school one time. So we played a couple of high schools, just a few songs in each, right? And I remember being all nervous. Oh, you look out, you see all the seats, and you're like, oh my gosh, all these people are watching me in stage fright. 18, 19-year-old kid trying to play guitar, and I wasn't that good at the time. And then I remember on both of those stages, I remember walking out on the stages and seeing all the flaws on the stage, like cracked pieces of woods and, nails bent and screws there. And I'm just like, why am I so nervous to play on something like this? It's like, this is so rickety. It's like you expect to go up and it's like, the first time on stage, you think it's going to be paved in gold and the whole bit. And it's this big, big deal. And you get there and you're like, look at this thing. It's crappy. And so it immediately, all my stress went away because I'm like, I'm on the stage, but look at the stage. This is what it is. This is what I'm being nervous about. And that's kind of how it is when I go to some of these rinks. And sometimes I sit there and I'm standing next to Grandpa or Uncle Charlie. Me and him are butt to butt while I do the game, and it's awkward. Having a guy like right here, and I'm trying to broadcast the game. Then their head's leaning over, and I can't see in the corner because their head's leaning over. Occasionally the cameraman's got to tap the guy in the back and say, look, you need to slide down because every time you lean over to see it, the camera can't pick it up. And so there's been a few times we've had to do that. So I don't usually get nervous anymore going to these smaller jobs because I know where I'm going to be working, and sometimes I'm standing behind a camera, man, and it's not a glorious thing. Steve Tower, after further review, stopping by. The AFC East is wide open. It is not wide open. It is not wide open. It is Miami and maybe Buffalo. Okay, I think Miami's playing really good. Now, I know that they destroyed the Broncos today, and that was kind of a fluky thing, but they're looking good. Their receivers, you can't catch them. They're that good. Okay, Miami's that good. Buffalo should be better. I'm pulling for Buffalo this year. I like Buffalo. I don't know why, but I do. I'm a Bills fan. In fact, I'm going to change it to blue for the Bills fans. Yeah, okay. I'm pulling for Buffalo. Buffalo, they were 0-4 at Super Bowls when I was a kid, or younger, I should say. And I kind of wanted them to win the one. I rooted against them a couple times, because they beat the Patriots, and you're like, I don't want that team to beat the Patriots to win. But, now it's like it's long gone. The Patriots are not going to be good for many years. If they're 500 this year, it'll be a good season, I think. I'm not expecting playoffs. I don't even really watch the games. I happen to watch today because I was home. But, yeah, it's, Steve says, kind of cool seeing the Dolphins rocking the AFC East. It's been a while. Yes, it has. It's been a while. And the Jets are still the Jets. I know Aaron Rodgers went down. I don't know how much difference he would make. Maybe a couple of wins. Maybe Aaron Rodgers gets a couple of wins. Hang on a second. I'm going to turn on my fan here. I don't know if I can do that without yanking out my cords. I keep forgetting to turn the fan on when I turn on all the lights. I'll be blowing more dust around. But it's good to see that I was. Ooh, there's another piece of dust. I was pulling for the Bills. Really was pulling for the Bills. And they're not getting it done this year. And Ron thinks that last year was their year. That was the year for the Bills. And Ron thinks that when they didn't do it last year, then that was it. And it might be. The Bills are going to be time to pay the bills. It ain't going to work. But I think Miami's strong. The Bills will be second place. New England will be third by default because I think the Jets are going to be worse. Although the Jets could give New England a run for third place. But I don't see New England doing anything. Sorry, I just don't. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm not seeing anything out of this team. Belichick is not the same Belichick. Mac Jones is borderline at best. And, he's not the worst quarterback in the league, but I just don't know what they got over there. I'm just not. Nothing excites me this year. And I think we're paying for the last 20 or 22 years of New England football that was so good with Brady. I think we're paying for that right now. We had it good for too long. We went to every AFC championship game for the most part, and we got 6 Super Bowls. And I think now it's time to be a mediocre team that we were when I grew up. And 007 says that wasn't a game day; it was a beatdown. It was like Denver didn't show up to play. There's a couple teams that you can see, it's like, okay, yeah, if this team lost 70 to something, you're like, wow, they're a bad team, like the Bears. The Bears are terrible. Why they put the Bears and the Chiefs on up here in the Boston area today, I have no idea, because that was just going to be a blowout. It was, in fact, they switched. I don't know when they switched to the Cowboys-Cardinals game, but I was kind of watching that and doing a few things and bouncing around, and then when I went back, it was like 30 to nothing or something like that. I'm just, why would they put the Chiefs and the Bears on? It's got the Bears are terrible. The Chiefs are probably the best team in the AFC, and it was a blowout. And finally, they switched over to another game that was a little closer. But that was another blowout. But I mean, if you were to think about the teams that would give up 70 points, the Broncos don't come to mind. At least maybe they are the worst team in the league. I don't know, but that Miami team, they just couldn't catch them. They just toss it out to their 3 receivers or hand it off to the running back, and they just couldn't catch him. And it's not like they were trying to run it up. The last couple of plays were just handoffs, and the guy just ran 55 yards. Well, what are you supposed to do? And I know they were saying, kick the field goal, tie the record. You can't. You can't. As much as you'd like to, if you did that, holy cow, you're a mocked organization for the rest of the season, and just you don't want to do that. It's just, you can't. It's just, the game's over. Let's not college. Don't run it up. And 007's looking forward to tomorrow night. Who's on tomorrow night? I didn't check. What I like about Monday nights at this time of year is I go to the rink and I score keep. And so I'll get there and the game's on at 9. So I'll put on my headset and I'll be able to listen to the last half of the game while I while I score keep the games, and it's kind of fun. It's a very relaxing night usually, unless there's a lot of fights in the game, which sometimes there are. But your normal night, I can listen to the game, and I get paid for working at the rink, and everyone's happy. I do my job. I can listen to the radio. It's kind of chilling. I chill out in there, except if it's 0 degrees. But for the most part, I don't mind doing the Monday night thing because I can listen to the game on the radio. But I don't know who's playing. I didn't see that yet. Let's see, the Bruins and Rangers preseason night on NHL. I know they were on Nessun Plus, I saw. They had a delay. I guess the Rangers had trouble getting to the rink. I don't know what happened. Maybe they got caught in all the tunnel traffic. Boston is a disaster. Every place is a disaster right now. Traffic doesn't move right now. It kind of sucks. That's why when I take when I take these jobs here, I look at the times, and there's a couple of places in Central Mass they want me to go, and they're like, "Can you do a Friday game?" And I'm like, "No, absolutely not," because it's going to take me. It's usually an hour to get to this rink. On a Friday, it's closer to 2 hours, and then even coming home, it's 2 hours. Unless it's like I say on a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon, but any like if on a Friday, I think the last time I worked up there, the game got done at 3:30 or so, and I get on the highway, and it was 2 hours coming home, and I'm like, as much as I like doing this, and it's extra work, a 2-hour commute one way coming home, it's just no. So I'll do 7:00 Sunday morning. I'll leave here at 5:30, and I'll get there at 7, and I'll hit no traffic. I'll be happy with that. So. And so, okay, tomorrow night is Eagles and the Bucks. Okay. Who's the Buccaneer quarterback? Is that Baker Mayfield? Is that what I saw? They had a big quarterback swappy thing going on that I didn't follow. And the Eagles are pretty good, I think. I think the Eagles are pretty good. And Michael stops by. Hi, Michael. Thanks for coming by. And 007, Little League or High School League? Which were you talking about? For the score, if it's scorekeeping, it's adult hockey. It's guys, well, I'd say my age, but they're younger than me, but it's adults. And I just sit in the score booth, and sometimes I'll watch people on YouTube, or sometimes I'll listen to sports radio and just kind of chill out. Is what I do. I get caught up in the Delphi forums. Sometimes if the game's that boring, I can go into Delphi on my iPad and scroll around and get caught up on what's going on there. Depends on the game. And there's other times it's just too intense, and I got to pay attention to the whole thing. So, but yeah, it's adult hockey. I do 99% adult. Once in a while I'll do kids, but the kids are a pain with the parents, and the kids pay less too. I signed up to do some scorekeeping for the kids, and they want to pay you, like $9-10 less a game, and I'm like, why would I do that? I'd rather just, I'd rather go and do the adults, and get paid more to do that, even though there's fighting and stuff. Sometimes it's not supposed to happen, but the kids. The last time I did a kids game, I filled in for somebody, and they don't pay anything to do the kids games, and they're longer. You get paid less, and the games are longer. And I remember they called so many penalties in this kids game. I ran out of penalty space. I was actually writing penalties in the scoring area. And I got done that, and I was like, that game took so long. There's so many penalties, and trying to keep track of all that ain't worth it. Just, no, not for that price. You'd have to pay me more to do the kids' games. And they want, like, teenagers doing it. They have, like, teenagers refs when it's the little kids. So they just want young kids to do it. They don't want, like, guys like me that they actually got to pay to do a good job. They just want anybody in there, Cleveland Baseball said there's 2 games tomorrow. Why do they do that? I don't like when they do the 2 games on Monday night. Monday night, it's a special night. It's one game, and that's what you like. I don't like the 2 games on Monday night. I don't. And the other thing is, they have this, the NFL Plus or the season ticket or whatever the NFL Direct ticket. I don't know what they call it now when you can get all the games. Why bother? You got a Thursday night game that everyone gets. Okay, you get a 1:00 game. Or two 1:00 games, and a 4:00 game, a Sunday night game, and 2 Monday night games. So there's 7 games that everybody gets. So that leaves what? 7 other games that you can get highlights on all the time with Red Zone or NFL Network. I put on NFL Network, and as I watch that all day, and that zips around the league for you. So you're paying all this money for what? You have to be a fan of one of those 6 or 7 games, of a team of one of those games, to get your money's worth out of that. Again, back in the day when it was just, it was all Sunday and one Monday night game, then it was worth it, okay? Because there was so many games that you couldn't see. But they took one away and put it on Thursday. Then they took one away and put it on Sunday. So now you're getting less for your money at this point. They keep taking things away because all the stuff that was behind the paywall is coming out of the paywall. It's on national TV now. So Thursday, Sunday night, sometimes 2 on Sunday night, and then 2 on Monday night, plus the national televised game during Sunday. It's like there's really, unless you're really a fan of like the New Orleans Saints or something like that, somebody that's not on national TV, why the heck would you buy that package? It makes no sense to me. It really, really doesn't. And he says, Rams and Bengals tomorrow night. Westwood One Radio. Yeah, that's who I listen to. Well, if you go satellite radio, you get all the feeds. It's kind of neat. You can get the home and the away, and then you get the major ones. And sometimes what I like to do is I like to pop on like Mad Dog Radio or CBS. I like CBS Sports Talk Radio a lot on satellite. A lot of those hosts I like, even on the weekend I like. So I'll have CBS Sports Radio on most of the time. But they'll talk about the game and then still talk sports. So they'll be like, hey, well, let's check in on, the Rams and the Bengals. It's, 7-0 Bengals at the end of one, and there's a great catch there, and the Bengals are driving again. And then they go back to talking about sports. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. That's what I like to do. And let's see. And once a year, however, there are 5 Monday night doubleheaders. I don't get it. Yeah, I can see the opening week. I can see that. Everyone's excited. The season's starting. Let's get as much football in everybody's face as we can. I get it. And I think Steve Tower hits it right on the head. I had money for the doubleheaders. Yep, pretty sure it comes down to money. Everything comes down to money when you think about it. It really does. Charles here, Bronco fan here. Too bad. Moved here 2.5 years ago from Chicago, and it feels like I brought the Chicago's bad luck with them. Yep. 007's looking at the playoff race for MLB. I haven't followed that at all. I know the Red Sox are terrible, so that's kind of what I know about that. I'm not sure what the deal is with the Red Sox. We'll see. We'll see how the Red Sox do. What else is going on in the chat room here? And this is why I play cards and dice, and I really don't pay attention to actual NFL these days. Yes, I can see that. Yep. Sometimes I do too. That's why I go back and I play my old APA seasons, and I enjoy my old APA hockey from the good old days, and don't have to worry about the record-setting team finishing in first place, going out in Game 7 at home in round 1 of the playoffs, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. He's been following his Phillies. Okay, good. I didn't see who's in the race. I really don't. Charles says, I still can't believe the Broncos allowed that much. Vance Joseph needs to be fired tomorrow, and Russ will not be a Bronco next year. Russ is not doing well. I kind of followed him when he went over the Broncos. He is not doing well. That's just not a good fit for him. I don't know what would be a good fit for him. He was always a decent quarterback. Wasn't an awesome quarterback, but a decent quarterback. And now, I don't know. I don't know what his deal is right now. Cleveland baseball fan says, I think the Rangers may have sewn up the AL West with their sweep over the Mariners and the Royals sweeping the Astros. Okay. Oh, David says, I moved to Miami 3 months ago, and I take credit for 50 of those points. Okay, David, you get credit for that. Let me see. Where's my sound effects here? Let me see. Hang on a sec. I got it. All right. You get it. Yep. You get all the credit for that. Give you a couple sound effects on that. So, 70 points. I was shocked to see that. I actually I went on YouTube and I watched the recap because I was like, is that a typo? Because someone else posted that. Because I posted something today about, thanks to the Jets, the Patriots won't be winless this year, so we'll at least get one win, maybe two now that we beat them on the road. And someone goes, well, how about the Dolphins and 70 points? It's like, what are you talking about? It's like, go on Yahoo Sports. I'm like, whoa, 70 points? That's nuts. And next thing you know, on my YouTube feed, it's like, would you like to see the highlights? It's like, yes, I would like to see the highlights of that. And I watched it. It's like, it was like 14-0 after one. I'm like, how the heck did they get to 70 if it was only 14 whatever after one? They must have had a couple of pick sixes or a block punt or something like that. It really kind of wasn't. It just was just some long passes and some long runs. It just, Denver didn't stop them. That was unbelievable is really what it was. Steve Tower, I think today may have been the end of Russ and the end of Zach. Yeah, that's bad. I mean, I know that the offense doesn't give up 70 points, but you get beat 70-0. That's something's not going well. And they've been talking a lot about the Bears. Like I say, I've only followed a little bit. And when I listen, when I do work or whatever. If I'm at the rink or something like that, I like to listen to sports talk radio. It's just soothing, especially during football season. And they were talking about the Bears and how this guy's got to go and that guy's got to go. And I'm like, oh, how bad are they? Well, of course, they go to Kansas City this week. And, yeah, they get destroyed in Kansas City to nobody's surprise. But, I thought they were the worst team, and they might give up the 70. But they're talking about firing guys there. And I'm like, holy cow, I don't know. And he was streaming at the time of the game. His chat was talking about the game. Yep. And Charles says, it's time for me to start a second half season game, a division round. 85-86, Miami's up 21-6 over Cincinnati in his playthrough. New England got knocked out in the wild card round as well, yep. Kirk Cousins to the Jets. Where is Kirk Cousins right now? There's a lot of hurt quarterbacks right now. There's a lot of people that are out because David Carr, I don't know who he plays for anymore, but he got hurt today. I think New Orleans, and the backup come in and laid an egg, and Green Bay came back and won that game. So, Kirk Cousins may be highly sought by a lot of teams. You got Rodgers out, now Derek Carr out. There's just a couple of guys that are banged up and just, what can you do? Now you got Russell Wilson playing all yucky in the whole bit. And Denver, who made it instead of the Raiders, won versus Cincinnati. Miami is playing the Jets. Miami Jets. That should be a fun game. All right, thanks for coming by, Charles. Enjoy your game. Oh, he's on the Vikings. Okay. The Vikings won to... Did they win or lose against the Chargers? I forget now. I was watching the scores there, and I was following that one for a bit. I forget who won. It was a close game. Today was like full of blowouts and close games. There was really no game that was like a 14-point game. It was either overtime, one score game, or it was a blowout. Oh, they lost. Okay, they lost to the Chargers 2024. Yeah, I was watching some of that. I don't even know who the Chargers quarterback is. We had it made, 10 years ago. With Manning and Brady and Roethlisberger, you know what I mean? We had some good quarterbacks. We really did. And we had some great rivalries going. And now I don't know what we have for rivalries because, I couldn't really name you too many of the quarterbacks nowadays. When Manning left and Roethlisberger and Brady and Breeze. Breeze was another good one with the New Orleans. So we had a lot of good quarterbacks, and now we have some good ones, but they get hurt, and that's the kill. Oh, we got Rodgers still. I guess Aaron Rodgers we still have kind of, and Justin Herbert is a Charger. Mike from the truck stops by, and next Saturday night. Before I forget, next Saturday night it will be episode 200. We're going to get episode 199 done this week. Episode 200 next Saturday night will be Kerry Batts from Pro Strategy Football. He'll be on for episode 200. I really wanted to make 200 a big whoop-de-doo and have all kinds of people come in and set this up and have guests on that'll pop in and out. And with everything that went on over the last 3 weeks and even over the summer, it just, I don't have the time to sit and try to organize that. So if things settle down and I get my work area back to normal and things settle down, I have some time to set up. But we're going to try to do that maybe around the holidays. Maybe have like a fireside chat some night and do all that. I thought it'd be great to get a lot of people on, popping in, popping off on camera. It's just, I kept trying to find the time to do that and organize it and find a night that worked for some people and what we could do. And realistically, it's just not going to happen. And unfortunately, I don't have the time to do that. I don't have the time to do much. I haven't even had the time to play games. So unfortunately, fortunately for episode 200, we are going to have a great guest on. Unfortunately, it's not the big whoop-de-doo package with all the different guests popping in and popping on that I had planned on. So we'll have to get. Ron had a good idea. Let's do that. When things settle down, maybe around the holidays, we'll have a down night around the holidays, that we could do something like that. Could be kind of fun. We thought about the Black Friday show when people come on and talk about their games. That's not a bad idea, actually. That's not a bad idea. Maybe the Saturday after Black Friday, that night. That's actually not a bad idea. I think I like that idea. So that's something. We did talk a little bit about that, like around Thanksgiving or something like that, or between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But people on, hey, what'd you get, and the whole bit. What did you get? What do you enjoy? What were the sales? I hope there's more good sales this year. Even though I haven't played anything, but I will play some things. So what else is going on? Oh, it's kind of neat. A couple weeks ago, a friend of mine, we used to go out every Sunday morning, and we go around to retro video game stores, and there's probably a good 15 or 20 in this area that are drivable, and I'm saying within a couple of hours of us. And so we would putz around every Sunday morning and check these places out, and I would buy, say, a lot of the games back behind me over here. These are like PS2 games right here. So I'd buy like the $1 and $2 PS2 games, some old Maddens and stuff like that. Just for a buck or two, I'll play them and have some fun. And I get some Sega games and Nintendo, so I would buy a whole bunch of stuff. And we'd get the 20 games for $10 or 20 games for $20 or something like that. Occasionally I would spend $10 or $15 on a better game, from time to time. And so we would do that, and we were doing that for years and years and years, probably even before I started Digital to Dice. And so I amassed a pretty decent collection of games, nothing crazy rare, but I got some decent stuff, and mostly just average stuff. And so a couple Sundays ago, he's like, hey, you want to go to the store? I said, yeah. I says, I'm going to sell a bunch of my stuff. So I filled up 4 shopping bags full of games. And that's just like the first round. I went through like all the stuff I had and said, will I ever play this? If the answer is no, it goes in here. If it's a maybe, I saved it, But I got so many things like, something, I've never played this, or I played it and I didn't like it. So I filled up 4 shopping bags full of games. And we went to trade him in. And he goes, let's go to this store. I'd never been to this one. So we went to this new store, and it was like comic books and video games. Well, the video game section was this big. It was like this little tower, and that was it. And the rest was comic books and toys. It was kind of fun. There was a lot of stuff there from, when I was a kid. And, they have toys for everything nowadays. It's really kind of neat. And they had a comic book section. And when I was a kid, I used to go down the store when I was 5 in the early 70s and get comic books. And I get the horror stuff, And so I go, just for kicks, I wonder if they have any of these. So I was flipping through some of the comic books that they had at the store, and I found some of the ones that I had at the house. I still got like 5 or 10 of these things at the house, and I was going through, it's like, oh, I have this one, and then I go to the second section, like ghost stories. Like, oh, I have this, I recognize the cover. I used to love them as a kid. And I would have picked up a few, but they were like $15 each. And I know that they're 50 years old and they're in great shape, but I'm like, this would be just something I would read for fun. If they were $2 or $3, I probably would have got, maybe 5 or 10 of them and just enjoyed it. But, I don't collect them or anything. So like for $15, I was like, no, thanks. But it was neat going into the comics book store and seeing the ones that I have, and they were all, comic books from back in the day. They were 15 cents back when I was a kid. And I used to like the horror ones. The one that I really liked, there was a story about, and they were in the jungle somewhere, and there was all these ants marching, and the only way to get rid of the ants is to flood everything. Okay, that's the only way you could save yourself. So they had all these pumps set up with water from the lake or whatever it was. So if the ants came, they would flood everything, and that's how they would save themselves. Well, of course, they were doing their thing, and one guy got greedy, and the bad guy punches the good guy, and he drowns in the lake, right? Well, what happens? The ants come, and the bad guy goes to turn on the pumps, and when he went to turn it on, the guy that he killed, the good guy, had floated in and jammed up the system, and he couldn't open the pumps to flood the water to save himself, and all the ants came in, and he died with all the ants. So it was stories like that were kind of neat, and it's all in a comic book form. As a kid, they were pretty neat. But that's the one story I do remember. Bernie stopping by. How's it going, Bernie? And Fenner says he loves comics. He doesn't read the new ones though. I bought some a friend, a guy that I used to play hockey with. He used to play in my league. He's got a little studio, and I don't know if he distributes them or he makes them. I forget what he does now. And he was getting in trouble with the internet police. You know those people, the do-gooders, and so they were coming after him and some of the other people in the comics industry. So and he was really nervous about it, and so a lot of people supported him by buying a bunch of stuff, and I did too. I think I bought like $50 or $60 worth of comics book from him. I just went on his site and it's like, Pete, I want to support you. You're used to play with me for years, so I want to support you back. And I bought a whole bunch of stuff, and he was overwhelmed at how many people supported him. He's still in business now, so good for him. But I don't think I ever read any of the stuff that he sent me. But it was kind of neat. And the comics book now, what's neat about them is that sometimes they have the graphic novels, they're called. And so they're thick books, they're comic books, but they're chock full. It's almost like a National Geographic almost, but it's all comics. And it's kind of neat. I just haven't had a chance to read one. I'm not a big comics fan like I was when I was a kid, but I haven't read any of them yet, so I should though. But the thing is if I enjoyed it, then I'd want to go and buy more. I look for the Godzilla stuff. I like the Godzilla and the Planet of the Apes, if I can find them fairly inexpensive. That's what I do like with that. And 007 says, right now, you read manga and light novels. Like I said, I started a couple of books during COVID, and I never finished them. There was one that was neat. It was an action book. It was set up in Antarctica, I think. I don't know about you guys, I love stories that are in frozen climates, like The Thing from John Carpenter and stories like that. I don't know why. I've always enjoyed that type of thing because I think you're isolated there in the cold, and it's not like you can get an easy rescue, so it's like you're kind of on your own. And so I read a lot of stories about that, about people that are trapped in the ice, and I read a pretty good one time about people that were trapped under the water in Antarctica, and they had to put on these wetsuits and go up a rope up to the ship, and on the way up they found out who the traitor was, and they were fighting in the water on the way up. It was neat. I like those things there. So I was reading a book about that where there was an alien ship that they had this base in Antarctica, or it was one of those places, South Pole, North Pole, I don't know, and so they were going down and they were exploring under the water there, and they found a UFO, and somehow word get out, and all these people are rushing to that site. So they had all these firefights because you got all these different shadow governments and organizations that are trying to get the UFO. So there was a big firefight at the place, and it was a neat little story. But I never finished it. So I was kind of I was reading that during COVID. Remember the 2 weeks we shut down? Remember those 2 weeks? So I bought that book so I could read that over the 2 weeks. I've had I should have finished it, considering how long the 2 weeks lasted. I should have finished the book, but I never did. But I enjoy those type of stories. DC and Marvel, I don't know the difference between them. I was never a superhero guy. When people used to buy the Batman and Superman comics and Flash Gordon and all those stuff, I never followed that. I was always the horror guy. I liked Dracula. And I like Godzilla and stuff like that. So that's what I read, and ghosts, and that's the stuff that I used to enjoy. So I don't know any of the superhero stuff. I never get into the superhero. Underdog is my favorite superhero. Underdog. But I do watch them on TV. Like if I'm kicking around at night, or even on a Sunday, I'll put on like TBS or something like that, and they'll have those type of movies on with all the heroes and the Thors and all that stuff, and they're fun to watch. I gotta say that it's kind of light watching for me. I can kick back and just enjoy that, but I don't really know anything about who's who. Let's see. 007 by grace. Fenner says, by grace of the gods, drugstore in another world, land of Liadel are some that he reads. Okay, and he likes the older DC and Marvel. Well, that's kind of cool. 007 says, I'm reading high school DxD light novel and manga right now. He's reading Jungle Juice. I would like EC Comics. I'm not sure what that is. And yeah, Underdog, he rocks, right? 70s DC horror was great. Yes, I think you're right. I think it was DC horror. I think that's what I had, was DC horror. And there was all these different ones, the unexplained and ghost stories, and the covers were so good. They really were. And I remember the covers that I had. And that's how I would buy them back in the day. And then they're not in good shape. They're all beat up, and I could never sell them. But once in a while, it's fun to look back at them. And somehow I've kept them with me for 53 years. I've moved quite a bit, and there's certain things that I take with me, and I make sure that they stay there. They stay with me. EC Comics collection from the 50s. That's a little before me. I did like the 70s stuff. I did like the 70s comics. That's what I grew up with, and I did like that. Although I gotta say, I used to listen to a lot of old-time radio on satellite, the old-time radio network on satellite radio. I used to listen to a ton of that. And I used to love the horror stuff because it was so cheesy, but it was really kind of fun. And that was all from the 50s, and some were even from the 40s. And, I used to like the sci-fi shows, like, what was it, something X. SpaceX, X99 or something like that. There was all these sci-fi shows, and it was like, I mean, one of them started, the year 1988. We've colonized Mars and Venus. It's just like, if only you knew. So it's funny hearing the shows, like what we were supposed to be doing in the 80s as far as space. It's kind of funny. And let's see, where are we now? Okay, Dave says DC horror. I remember. Yeah, those are good. I would, they had a huge sale that day we were at the store. I think it was half off. If those things, like I say, if they were $3 or $4, I would have spent $40. But I didn't want to spend $40 on one or two or three. I would have wanted a bunch to look through. And 007 says, I remember when they used to show Underdog, Danger Mouse, Rocky, and Bullwinkle on Nick back in the day. Well, I remember when they showed him on the regular TV back in the day. Danger Mouse I don't remember so much, but Underdog was great. Rocky and Bullwinkle and Natasha and Boris Bedanoff, they were all great. Loved all those guys. Who was the... Was it... No, who was the guy that was... Who was the short guy with the mustache that was with Natasha? I forget his name. Boris Bedanoff was like the Frankenstein-looking guy with the big head, right? Or was that Simon Bar Sinister? I'm getting them all mixed up now. But Simon Bar Sinister and Boris Bedanoff, unless Boris Bedanoff was a wrestler. Steve Tower would know on that. Maybe I'm getting my wrestlers mixed up with my 70s villains. The covers are fantastic. Some great artists worked on them. Yeah, they were. They were very eerie and creepy magazines. Yes, I will agree. EC horror sci-fi influenced a lot of creators like John Carpenter, Lucas, and Spielberg. Interesting. Space 1999 was a TV show. There was but as far as the radio stuff, there was SpaceX or something like that. I forget. There was a lot of space shows that I listened to, and they had all the woo, woo. That was the sound of the spaceship. When you're on the spaceship, and the boing, boing. All right, we're getting ready to go to Mars. Boing. It's all the cheesy sound effects to make it feel like you're in space. They were all pretty good. Let's see. Steve says he has a special edition Chuck Noblick rookie card set And he thought he's going to put his kids through college before he just couldn't make a throw to first. Yeah, I know. I have some cards. I think I might even have that Gretzky rookie card that sold for $1 million. Not that mine's worth $1 million, but even if it's worth a few thousand, I should dig it up. I have a lot of cards still hanging around. I don't know what kind of shape they're in, but I did pull out a bunch. I pulled out all my Red Sox and my Patriots, and I think some of my Bruins. I have some Golden Seals, but they're not really worth anything anymore. I remember, at one point, baseball and hockey cards were a thing, and then it just tanked. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's because they have so many different companies putting out cards right now, but they're kind of worthless right now, unless you have like the Ty Cobb card or something like that, or the Babe Ruth card. Okay, Boris and Natasha. Okay. So Simon Bar Sinister must have been the guy with the forehead, right? So if I look for Simon Bar Sinister, yeah, he's the Frankenstein-looking guy, and he had the big weird dude with him as well. Simon Bar Sinister. Yep. Okay, I just looked it up. So yeah, so Boris and Natasha, and Simon Bar Sinister was the mad scientist, so to speak. Hong Kong Phooey was pretty good. Who was the voice of that? Was that Lou Gossett Jr. that did Hong Kong Phooey? There was somebody famous that did the Hong Kong Phooey voice. I want to say it was Lou Gossett Jr. I don't remember, though. Scatman Crothers. I don't know who Scatman Crothers was. The horror comic creators talk about how the horror radio serials influenced their show. I like to listen to Superman on the radio. They have them on the internet. Yeah, I used to go back and listen to all of them. Like I say, if you go to, maybe I could go there right now and just take a look and see what's coming up. So if I went to my Sirius XM and I go to my favorites and I go to old time radio, which radio classics, which unfortunately has really kind of I don't listen to anymore. That was my go-to thing. I would love that. I used to always listen to that. Earlier today, Escape. Oh, X-1. That's what it was. X-1 and Escape were a couple that I really enjoyed. So, yeah, those are some of the ones I used to listen to. X-11111. It was always them traveling to the other planets and stuff, like they were driving, across town. It was kind of fun. Do I like Westerns? I would probably say no, but there are some times when I used to put on the old time radio and they'd have the Western on, like Gunsmoke or whatever the radio drama was. And so if I didn't change the channel and listen to it, I did enjoy it. I have to admit I did enjoy it. It's not my genre of choice. It just was never, like, I would never sit home on Saturday afternoons and watch any Westerns. But if it was on and I didn't change the channel, I wouldn't select the Western, but like if I went over to my dad's house or something and he had it on as a kid, I would watch it. Of course the Clint Eastwood movies were great. What was the one? Oh, man. It had the two guys, and at the end of the scene, it would freeze into a cartoon. And then when it came back, it would do another whole thing, and then right before the commercial, it would freeze and it would add it to it. Was that the Wild Wild West? That was I enjoyed that very, very much. Because I look forward to, because by the time you get to the end of the show, you could go back and see all the different freeze frames, and it kind of recapped everything that had happened to that point. I did like that. I really liked that. Hong Kong Phooey had 16 episodes. That's all. Wow. We talk about it like they were on for years, And where are we now? I forget who the voice was. Don Messick did a spot. The old man in The Shining. Remember him from Silver Streak. Silver Streak was a great movie. Was that the Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movie? Silver Streak? That was a great one. How could I not like spaghetti westerns? There wasn't like I say, I was a space guy. I was a horror guy and a space guy. I liked my space shows. I just did. I don't know why. That was kind of the way I was going. I like kind of went forward in time, not so much back in time. And to go back into the 1800s, the early 1900s with the cowboys on the horses and the Indians it just wasn't my thing. Again, not saying that I haven't sat there and watched a couple of old westerns that I thought were fantastic, and I'm glad I did because it was kind of fun, but it wasn't my thing. I don't know what my thing is, but it's not so much that. It was the Wild Wild West. Yeah, that was such a good show. I wonder if Pluto TV has that. I would go back and watch that again. The Wild Wild West. I should put that in. Where can I watch the Wild Wild West TV series? Where can I watch it? The internet says Pluto TV. Yes, they have it on Pluto TV. Oh, now I got to go back to Pluto TV. That's great. I don't know if they have a channel on it. What channel is the Wild West on? Oh, CBS. Is the Wild West on Peacock? I can watch the Chronicles, but I don't know about that. That was such a good show. Pluto has 4 seasons for free. Okay. Robert Conrad, Ross Martin, and Michael Dunn. Okay. Interesting. So, yeah, Pluto TV comes through again. If you've never seen Pluto TV, it's free. It's just like watching TV. You have the commercials, and you can't skip them. It's just like if you put on a regular TV channel, so you get the commercials, but it's all the older stuff. They have 2 Price is Right channels. They have the Bob Barker Price is Right, and then they have the post-Bob Barker Price is Right. That's kind of neat. So you can say if you're home from work sick, put on the Bob Barker channel on Pluto, and you can pretend like you're a kid again. Because that's what we did. We all watched Bob when we were homesick. That's just what we all did. And I remember I never used to like staying home from school because, you stay home and you were up. You didn't lay in bed when you were sick. You were just sitting there watching TV. And there was a couple of good shows on early, and then it just got crappy. And then you had Bob on from 10 to 11, 11 to 12. And then it was crappy TV again. So and then in the afternoon you got your cartoons like I used to like space. What was that space show I watched? There was a couple of space shows I watched. Rocky and Bullwinkle, Porky Pig, but they wouldn't come on until 3:00. So there was so many hours of the day when you stayed home that there was absolutely nothing to watch. Really, there wasn't. Let's see. Westerns were big for kids in the late 40s and early 50s. Yeah, I can imagine they were. For me, like I say, growing up in the 70s, it just wasn't my thing. But I did like a few of them. Did I watch Hawaii Five-0? I remember it. That was like a police show. And I think it was on a little bit later at night for me. So I remember seeing it on the guide. But I can't say if I've ever watched more than one episode of that, and I couldn't tell you who was in. I got that mixed up with Dragnet all the time. I don't know why. I just got Hawaii Five-0 mixed up with Dragnet. That was just me. Fenna says Pluto TV and Tubi TV are amazing for free TV. Yes, they are. Someone told me about the Godzilla channel on Pluto TV, and so I went to Pluto TV and put it on my, installed the app. I was like, holy cow, this is fantastic. And I'm watching Godzilla, but it was all the older stuff. And there's only so many of them. And then they had some Rodan and Mothra, but after a while, it was repeating the same, 20 movies. And so I skimmed around and I found Stargate, and I love Stargate. And so it shows Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe, which I didn't watch Universe very much. I watched a little bit of Stargate Atlantis. But I watched so much of Stargate, I said, something? I'm going to go back and watch all the Stargates from start to finish. So about 2 months ago, I went back And on Amazon Prime, you can watch all the Stargate SG-1 series. So I went back season 1, episode 1, and I've been watching them all. And I'm late in season 6 right now, watching Stargate. And that's kind of my routine. I'll get up in the morning, have a coffee, and I'll watch an episode of Stargate, and then I'll get my work done. And then, maybe around lunch I might watch half of another one, and then after dinner watch the rest of it. So I try to get in one a day, sometimes 2 a day, and catch myself up on that. But I need to go back and watch the Wild West now. It was fun. The guy with all the disguises and how he got dressed up, it was neat. It really was. It reminds me of that Val Kilmer movie he was in with, oh my gosh, I forget who the woman was in the movie. But he had all the disguises, and he could dress up like anybody. And he would go in and fool people with his disguises. It was almost like a Tom Cruise type of movie, but Val Kilmer was in it. I think it was back in 2000. It was a long time ago. And I forget who the lead role for the female was. She's a famous actress. And Val Kilmer would dress up as stuff and just appear in different places. And he did such a good job imitating people in that movie. It reminded me a lot of the Mission Impossible Tom Cruise stuff. So many good things back in the day. 007 says they all have Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Yep. And you're a big game show fan. My favorite game show, hands down, all-time favorite game show was the $25,000 Pyramid. And I think they have a channel for that. By far, that was my favorite game show because you started off with the two couples like on the two tables, and they would get all the categories, and then the winner would go to the advanced round, and you'd go up the pyramid. Okay, baseball bat, football cleats, shin pads, sports equipment. Bing, ding, ding. $25,000 pyramid was my favorite. I need to go back and watch some more of that. That was good. Password was also good too. It was a little heavy and a little deep for me as a young kid. But that was fun too, seeing the clues unravel and trying to guess it. I did find that because it was such an older show, Password was very stiff, if you know what I mean. Like if you go back and watch Password, it was a stiff, stuffy show. At least I felt it was. Compared to the Pyramid, which was kind of lax. Match Game, I really liked Match Game, but I thought there was always one easy question and one hard question. And you could tell who was going to win just by the question they got. And sometimes the panel you felt like they did something stupid on purpose just to kind of, get a rise out of something. So there was a few things that they did. I was like, The Match Game was good. It was really good. But I think I liked the Pyramid Game better. There was a ton of them I watched that I really liked. Card Sharks was all right. Higher, lower. They had the huge cards. They were so good. I liked the huge cards. I always wanted a deck of huge cards like that. I really did. But that was pretty good. And Steve Tower, $25,000 pyramid was fantastic. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. That was just, I never did it, but so many times I would want to cover the screen so I couldn't see the answer and to see if I could guess it. But you can't. It's just too tempting to see the answer, and you're rooting for the person. Like, come on, get it, And they get it right under the buzzer. Or sometimes they would miss it. And what I did like at the end, if they didn't get it, they'd be like, don't turn around. And they would give them more clues to see if they could finally get the answer. That was kind of cool. Oh, wait. Card Sharks was amazing. Yes, it was. Family Feud. I think back in the day, Family Feud was really good with Richard Dawson. Not that the new guy does a bad job at all, but there was something more. I just thought it was just kind of better back in the day. And nowadays it's fine, and it's still going. I'm glad it's still going, but there was something classic about it just back in the day. Match Game was a peak game show. Yeah, Match Game was so good. I remember Match Game 75, That was really, really good. Someone brought up the $6 Million Man. Yes. They have the absolute worst, what do I want to say? Probably the worst and the weakest character boss in all of TV was Oscar Goldman. He was lame, so lame. And why Steve Austin didn't just kick his butt. Steve, do this. No, make me. I'm the $6 million man, and you're Oscar Goldman, and you're weak. I never liked Oscar Goldman. I thought he was lame. I still tell that tale. Oscar Goldman is so lame. They have a channel for a couple things that I've never heard of, but they have a couple channels of things I've never heard of, a lot of things that are pretty good. Oh, and Password and Pyramid were created by the same person. That would make sense. Yeah, I did like that. I don't remember Hot Potato, Yeah, you'll never see another collection that drinks like it. Match Game was kind of like the college frat version of Hollywood Squares. If I had to make a comparison, Match Game was just kind of like, all right, we're gonna have a few drinks, and we're gonna play Hollywood Squares. That's just kind of what Match Game was. It really was. I enjoyed that. It was just neat how they had the questions they asked, and then they had the final round, and you could pick one person and this and that, and it was just really, that was just such a fun time with who was it? Betty White was on that. Charles Nelson Riley, and Brett Summers. Those are the three main characters. But every now and then you'd see someone from a TV show on there. It was just fun. It was just so fun. And Salvador America, Joker's Wild. Yes, I still use that a lot of time. Joker, Presidents for 50. I still love that. And Joker's Wild had the same host as Hot Potato. I don't remember Hot Potato. That's one I don't remember. And that's the one that's not coming to mind. The Gong Show, yes, that was okay. I watched it. Gene, the Dancing Machine. I remember watching that show. I guess it was okay for its time. I think if you went back and watched it now, it would be quite dated, and it just wouldn't have the same whatever you want to call it. But the Gong Show is okay, but it's nothing I would race to see. Like, I probably wouldn't put it on now. I'd probably watch it for like 5 minutes and say, yeah, okay, whatever. Because it was just all people putting on acts, and some of the acts were very, very bad. Oh, Alex Trebek doing classic Concentration. I'm trying to remember Concentration. Oh, is that the one that they had the board and they would flip over the tiles and you'd have to try to remember it? That was a good game too. I think I remember that. And they had the symbols for the prizes you could win. Wasn't that it? If they flipped over the square, you might have like jewelry or something like that, and you could win that. The great Johnny Olson and also Match Game was the one that coined the phrase "Come on down." Okay, so Super Sentai is the Power Rangers. I never liked the Power Rangers. I didn't. Sorry, I didn't. Oh, yeah, Bosley for Charlie's Angels. Well, Bosley was mysterious because he was, like, you never saw him. Hello, Angels, how you doing today, Oh, no, that was Charlie. I know what you're talking about, Bosley. Bosley he was the guy that you saw that was kind of giving the directions out. Yeah, he was kind of he was a little weak, too, I would say. He's a little weak. I saw Oscar Goldman. Oscar Goldman was like Bob Backlund. When I grew up, Bob Backlund, sorry, Steve Tower, but Bob Backlund was the champion, like all through my junior high and high school years. And he was the boringest wrestler on TV. I mean, serious. There was nobody more boring than Bob Backlund. And every time he won, it's like, can this guy just go away? He is boring. Nobody likes him. He doesn't like, the kids don't like him. The adults don't like him. There's no character there. He's just like a 2x4. He's just never liked Bob Backlund. Didn't even know what his finishing move was. That's how bad he was. Sergeant Slaughter had some charisma. Adrian Adonis, who was my favorite wrestler ever, had some charisma. Jesse the Body was pretty good. The Iron Sheik, Blackjack Mulligan with the claw, the X on the screen, and they blocked it out because it was so bad you couldn't see it. There was nothing to see. They all had charisma. Hulkamaniacs. Bob Backlund was the absolute worst. He really was. And that's what Oscar Goldman reminds me of. Hot Potato was last game show hosted by Bill Cullen. I don't know Bill Cullen. I probably would if I saw him, though. Chuck Woolery and Scrabble. Chuck Woolery did a lot more than Scrabble. What else did Chuck Woolery do? Was he the dating game? Or was that Wink Martindale? I forget, but I remember Chuck Woolery. He was pretty good. Yeah, Richard Dawson on Match Game. He was pretty good. I heard he was a little bit of a perv, though. But thanks, Sean. Yeah, that's what we do here sometimes. We come on here and we just have a chat, and we just have some fun. I try to do that in between some of the football games. And I was going to play some Pro Strategy tonight. I might later. I got to see. Like I say, after I cleaned the basement, I kind of crashed all day, so I'll be up all night. But I did want to come on and say hi to everybody. I feel bad. We haven't done a Digital to Dice. We haven't done a Patreon event in quite some time, just because of life's just been a disaster over here. It's nothing terrible, but it's been enough to upset my normal routine and just struggle to do everything. Good to see Marco in here. Marco, I haven't gone back and checked your predictions. How are you doing in your predictions, by the way? Did you predict 70 points for the Dolphins this week? I'm going to have to go back and watch it. I want to see if you picked the Broncos. That'd be hilarious if you picked the Broncos. Yeah, Gene, the dancing machine. Remember the time they just threw out the empty coat rack and they said it was Gene? I remember that one there. Brett Summers, Charles Nelson around, Richard Dawson were on the regularly. Okay, that's right, Richard Dawson. Salvatore. I thought, he said that. I thought you meant Family Feud. Yeah, he was on there. Yeah, he really was. He hosted Classic Concentration, To Tell the Truth, and Jeopardy all at the same time. And I said Alex Trebek was a legend. And Jeffrey Edwards stops by. I knew you were going to be mad, but exactly, Bob Backlund's a legend. Oh, no, he wasn't. He was boring. They had like when we would go into school and we'd be all wrestled up. We'd watch the wrestling over the weekend. We'd go in on Monday morning. It's like no one ever wanted to be Bob Backlund. No one ever was like, all right, I'm going to be Bob Backlund. No one ever said that. Everybody had their favorite wrestler, Andre, whoever it was. Everybody had their favorite wrestler. Even some people like, Barry Hart, and Special Delivery Jones, but no one ever wanted to be Bob Backlund. And the other thing was that we had I don't know if he was a teacher or a guidance counselor, we had somebody like that in our school that looked just like him. And I didn't like that guy either. So maybe that kind of soured me even more on Backlund. But I couldn't stand Backlund. He just was boring. Okay, is that Chuck Woolery was the dating game? And who was the first host of Wheel? Was it Chuck Woolery? Okay, I'm trying to think 007 here. Who the first host of Wheel of Fortune was? I don't remember. I think it was Woolery. Lincoln, Tic-Tac-Doe. Oh, Tic-Tac-Doe, yeah. I remember that one. Not 70, but another winning streak. Okay. My only loss of the week was my Patriots. Well, I would have picked against them too, but I didn't. They kept talking about the Jets and how the Jets defense was so good. And even without Rodgers, they might have a chance because the defense was so good. And Mac Jones scored on them today. The Jets defense is not that good, and their offense is bad. So New England's bad, but they're not Jets bad. So still waiting for the Popsicle Twins to come back on TV. I don't know what that was. No offense, but Backlund was a human sleeping pill. He was, wasn't he? There was nothing about Backlund He had his towel around his neck and he threw it into the crowd. And I think people used to throw it back because they're like, I don't want it. You're stupid. Your character sucks. It really was. Oh, man. Larry Zbyszko. He was okay. I didn't mind Larry too much. Chuck was the first host of Wheel of Fortune. Dating game was Jim Lang. Oh. Yeah, they all kind of bounced around a little bit. But still, I need to go find that, the $25,000 pyramid. That's still my favorite game show. Because I'm a trivia guy. I like that, that knowledge thing. You're trying to figure out what it was, remember what it was, or put the clues together. That's just what I like to do. And so that was like the perfect game for me when I was growing up. Okay, what is this? Okay, so you're trying to like guess the clues, but at the same time, what would I give for clues? If we were playing this game. And I think I did that one time. We had a party one time, and we kind of did a version of the pyramid game where, the the person would would be sitting here, and the person behind it would hold up the word, and you'd describe it to him, and he'd try to get it. We'll see. Mac Jones might be bad. Nobody's Bears. Oh, yeah, they were talking about the Bears on satellite radio this week and how bad they were. And then they played the Chiefs, which is bad enough, Oof. Do yourself a favor. Google the Popsicle Twins on the Gong Show. All right, I'll have to do that when we get out of here. And 007's a good clue giver. All right, so if we ever do that, we'll have to have you on. All righty. Pressure luck. Is that the whammy game? No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Is that the whammy game? You ever see the, and I'll sign off here. We've been going on an hour here, but I just want to come on and say hi tonight. And like I said, maybe I'll be on later on tonight. I saw Al just come on, so I'm going to go see what Al's doing. But I might jump on later on with a football game. We'll see how it goes, unless I fall asleep. Or unless I'm watching $25,000 Pyramid on Pluto. You never know. But did you ever see the YouTube videos on the people that were cheating in the game shows? Like the guy in The Price is Right when Drew Carey was doing it, and he got the Showcase Showdown exactly to the number, like right on the number. And I guess from what Ron was saying, Drew Carey didn't think it was going to air because he thought he cheated. So, and the actual retail price is $10,521. You hit it right on the nose. You can win both showcases. Thank you. Bye-bye. And because he thought he was going to cut it out because he thought he cheated. But it turned out that him and his wife watched so many shows, and they just kept repeating the prizes. So I think either him or his wife, who was in the crowd, was just adding up what all the prizes were, and she must have relayed the number to him. Because you can shout out from the audience. You can shout out, right? Back in the day, you were allowed to shout out, 500, 10,000, And so she must have shouted out what it was, and he got it right on. And I don't know how they ever resolved that, but he hit it on the head. And then there was another one that was the whammy game. It was a sequence. And the guy would watch the sequence, and he knew when to hit the button to land it on the highest numbers, because it would be like, this, that, this, that, this, that, this. And he would just hit it, and he would get it every time. And like, how'd you do it? And he memorized the sequence. And they didn't want to pay him the prize money because he thought he cheated. But then they realized, well, he wasn't cheating. He was just he was almost card counting, I guess, if you will. So they had to change the sequence to fix that. So, and he says, he goes, that guy wasn't cheated. Okay. Said, one of my favorite game shows, one of my favorite game shows that I do for his panels. Nice. And 007 knows the true story of all that, and he can't say anything due to NDAs. Okay. Well, that's fine. We don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I'm just saying that I watched those on YouTube, and they were kind of fun to watch, and how that kind of happened in the whole bit. And again, it doesn't matter to me, what they did, but it's just kind of funny if they kind of gamed the system, then they did it, and that's just kind of how it goes. But anyway, well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm going to jump out here. I'm going to go watch a little bit of football, and maybe I'll watch some $25,000 Pyramid and Google the Popsicle Twins while I'm off here. But I'm going to jump out here, and who knows? I got to see how it goes if I want to jump on here later and actually play a game. I haven't played a game in quite a few days just because I've been busy with everything here. But, I'm in the football mood. I'm enjoying the Pro Strategy Football. Next Saturday night, don't forget next Saturday night, big chat here with Kerry Batts as we talk about Pro Strategy Football 2024, the new one that just come out. So see what he has to say about it. I like it. I like it a lot, and I think you'll like it too. So we'll have him. So we'll have your questions ready for him for the next Saturday night chat. So I'm Dave. Thanks for everybody coming in, and we'll talk to everybody later. And David, before we sign off, David says Justin Fields blaming the coaching for making him think too much. I know. I don't know what's going on with the Bears. Hopefully they'll sort it out because we like to have the Chicago Bears playing well. We just do. All right. I'm Dave. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye-bye.